So family, this story comes from Iowa, and I want to show this story to show you how easily a person who was a police officer can get fired and then rehired to another police department, because a fired police officer is then hired by another Iowa police department just 3 weeks after he was fired. Seriously. And so the reason why Nicholas Blocker found himself in some trouble is because the city was simply asking him for a work release from a doctor because he had recently returned to work after being on leave because he was sick. And he refused to give that work excuse, which started making people think, well, maybe you weren't actually sick after all. And so he started claiming retaliation, saying that other officers were calling him names. And it turns out that was not the case. Because it turns out that there were a series of lies from Nicholas Blocker. Like, for example, he told an investigator that he wasn't looking for work elsewhere, but it turns out he was. And also, it turns out that he claims that he has undiagnosed PTSD. But then he started sending some text messages that would directly undermine that claim. Seriously, like, you claim you have something, but then you say something directly afterwards that would suggest you are full of it. I mean, that is amazing, man. And so Nicholas Blocker was fired. And you would think that him being fired for dishonesty would mean that he couldn't become a police officer again. Well, that was not the case, because he was hired by the city of West Liberty, which swore him in as a full-time police officer on May the 3rd. And so he now works for the city as a part-time police officer, according to the officials there. And when asked, the West Liberty mayor, Catherine McCullough, she says she's not sure why Blocker was selected for employment as a city police officer. This guy was hired as a police officer just 3 weeks after he was fired. That is amazing, isn't it? And it shows you that police officers and police misconduct, it doesn't really matter what kind of charges you throw at them, what they're fired for. People protect police officers so much that they will hire a bad cop any day of the week. Wow.